So about a couple months ago, I made a video about this, about the competition between Russell Wilson and Justin Fields that kind of led up to the draft about what the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to be doing. And it was for good reason because the Steelers were making a lot of noise in free agency. And Omar Khan, I think he really did make a smart investment with acquiring a veteran quarterback and a quarterback who really hasn't had that full chance to showcase his full potential. And now you got two quarterbacks that are going to be duking it out to see who gets the starting job and to quite frankly be the quarterback of this franchise going forward for at least the next couple of seasons. And I'm just going to come on here and give my 2 cents about it. What's going on, everybody? I'm Mac, back with another video. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Instagram. Link is down in the box below. So let's talk about Russell Wilson and Justin Fields as kind of like a follow-up, because what competition was there going to be if Kenny Pickett was still here and we were going to run with Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, and Kenny Pickett? I mean, what competition was there going to be? Okay, Kenny Pickett just showed that he was butthurt and that he just didn't want to compete and he didn't want to have to work for the job because he was so mad that we brought in Russell Wilson. And Kenny Pickett didn't want to be a part of that. But that's in the past now. But let's talk about what I think is still going to be the verdict for the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, at least for 2024. So I'll start with Russell Wilson at first. So I truly think that Russell Wilson is going to be the starter. And I think most other Steeler fans agree with me when I say that, because you're talking about a guy who has never really been benched throughout his career, both in Seattle and Denver. And the only way that I see Russell Wilson getting benched is if he gets hurt, or if the Steelers are dumb enough, which I know they're not, but say the Steelers bench him like Denver did because they didn't want to pay him for the Seahawks trade. I doubt the Steelers will be that dumb because of the contract that Russell Wilson has for us. He's getting paid the veteran minimum while Denver's still paying the majority of his salary. That's the only reason the Broncos benched him on Christmas Eve against the Patriots, is because they didn't want to pay for him. Okay? He had a 5-year contract going into Denver, and that was just like the final straw. It had nothing to do with Russell Wilson being bad. He didn't even have a bad year last year. He had a great year last year, actually. People say it all the time that he was right there with Patrick Mahomes statistic-wise for being a really solid quarterback. And we all know how crazy talented Patrick Mahomes is. Okay? He's already entered the GOAT conversation in, what, 6 years of being a starting quarterback? The point is, Russell Wilson did not have a bad year last year, and the only reason that he got benched is because Denver's incompetent. All right? But overall, you're getting a guy who has a lot of previous experience of being a starting quarterback, and now you're gonna you're gonna fix up the biggest issue that he had, which is that he never really had a strong O-line. He's the most sacked quarterback in the league since 2021. Okay, that's a fact. But that has a lot to do with the offensive line that the Seattle Seahawks had. And the Broncos, I mean, they didn't really have a great O-line either. But coming on over now to Pittsburgh, where, yes, the O-line is not, superstar worthy, and, it's not the Hogs offensive line like the Washington Redskins did back in the 80s. But overall, you're looking at a revamped offense that got fixed up in the draft. And especially now with adding a center and getting a guy who's going to be on the right side. Just a very physical, versatile piece on that offensive line. And by the way, you're getting a Bulldog entering his second year in Broderick Jones. So all the advantages for Russell Wilson with this O-line are there for him to succeed. The Steelers really haven't had that leadership role ever since Big Ben retired. But, even though Russ probably is not going to be here for 2, maybe 3 years, he's going to be here for at least 2024. Russ does have leadership qualities to him that can gel with a lot of the younger guys on this team. And I think he can translate that over to the offensive line. And you're going to see it when the O-line matures and the O-line marinates more and they start, gaining experience. I think Russell Wilson is a great bridge for that. But then you got to take a look at Justin Fields as well. Now, yes, I've said time and time again, I am not the biggest Justin Fields fan, and I will sit down here and continue to say that unless I get proven otherwise. All right? And I'm not going to change my mind on that right away just because he's a Steeler fan, because it makes you guys upset. Okay? I'm entitled to my opinion. I'm entitled to feel however I want to feel about players on this team. Will I root for Justin Fields? Yes, I will. Am I a fan of his right now? No, not right now. But that can change. Anyway, let's talk about it. You are getting a guy who was a multiple game starter with the Chicago Bears, and that's a key phrase right there. The team he played for in the Chicago Bears. The last time they had a good quarterback, Hitler was still alive, was Sid Luckman. Okay? You're getting a guy who has flashes, but he also has a lot of inconsistencies with him as well. But the reason that he came on over to Pittsburgh is because if we felt like that we were going to go with the original competition, it really kind of would have hurt Justin Fields in the long run because we probably still would have rolled with Kenny Pickett. And you're not going to bench a guy like Justin Fields, who was a first-round draft pick a couple of years ago, because you still want to roll with a guy like Kenny Pickett, because Justin Fields does have starter quality to him, and Kenny Pickett is just nothing more than a backup quarterback at this point, and he's most likely going to be journeyman status by the time 2025 is over with. Okay? It would have hurt Justin Fields mentally, and it would have hurt his production as well. Okay? That's not what we brought Justin Fields in for. We brought him in so he can learn under a guy like Russell Wilson, so he can polish up his skills like Russell Wilson. We brought him here for the reason that we were going to hold on to Kenny Pickett, because Kenny Pickett was going to duke it out with Russell Wilson, even though Russell Wilson absolutely was not going to be brought here as a backup quarterback, and that Kenny Pickett had the opportunity to learn from a Super Bowl winning quarterback, from a 9-time Pro Bowl quarterback, from an experienced quarterback, a guy who's been in the league for 12 years, and he didn't want that because he got butthurt about it. Justin Fields is going to have that opportunity, okay? So Justin Fields, in the meantime, he's going to have at least this year polishing up his skills, surveying downfield, reading defenses, reading receivers. And he does have turnover problems, yes, but he can cut that down drastically as well, because Russell Wilson statistically has one of the best touchdown to interception ratios in NFL history. And I think that's a big advantage for Justin Fields, knowing that he has turnover problems. And I think Russell Wilson can definitely help him out with that. And really, in the grand scheme of things, as of right now, sitting Justin Fields can help him a little bit, because when Russell Wilson is gone, you could be looking at a Mason Rudolph situation for us, okay? Remember, everyone was ready to, myself included, everyone was ready to give up on Mason Rudolph. They were ready to get him out of here because he had that tie with the Detroit Lions in the 2021 NFL season. But hey, Mason Rudolph sat down on the bench. And when his number was called up, because we pretty much had to use him at that point towards the end of last year, because they weren't going to go with Russell Wilson or Mason Rudolph, because they had just the biggest hard on for Mitch Trubisky for some reason, and they didn't want to give up on Kenny Pickett. So who else was going to be quarterback? Mason Rudolph. What'd Mason Rudolph do? He played fearless. He played with confidence. He played like a guy who's been in the league for years, probably because he's been in the league for years and he's had more than enough time to develop a game system for him. And as a result, Mason Rudolph looked flawless. Back-to-back 30-point games for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's something unheard of with this offense nowadays. The last time prior to the ending of 2022 that the Steelers had back-to-back 30-point games, you got to go back to at least 2017. It's been that long since the Steelers put up 30 points in consecutive games. That's crazy to think about. But I think that this can be a situation that Justin Fields can get into if he sits on the bench and if he does, study under Russell Wilson and improves his play with him. Because we know Justin Fields can use his legs to create plays. We know that he's a great runner. We know that he's a dual threat quarterback. And you can incorporate that with the reads and the flea flickers, and they can keep defenses guessing and can keep them playing honest, which is what Arthur Smith's offense is designed to do. So, to wrap up what I'm saying here, which quarterback is best suited for Arthur Smith's offense as of right now? To me, I would think Justin Fields edges it out just a little bit more because he has that because he is that running quarterback capability. But it's not to say that Russell Wilson isn't, because we know he can use his legs too. But we also know that Russell Wilson is not going to be here long term. When he took that 1-year league veteran, that 1-year veteran minimum deal with us. So we know that A, we have the bridge guy, and B, that we have the guy that's going to be here for, I don't want to say long term just yet, but you know what I'm trying to say. I think both these quarterbacks are very advantageous for Arthur Smith's offense. But if you ask me right now, experience plays a big role with it. And even though the Steelers did improve the O-line, they got a slot receiver in Roman Wilson, they got Van Jefferson, I still think my verdict stands that Russell Wilson is your guy to go forward with Justin Fields on the bench. But I do think Justin Fields is going to have an impact with this offense because, like I said, with his legs, you can incorporate the reads, you can incorporate the flea flickers, you can incorporate wildcat plays. Get creative with Justin Fields, man. This is what competition's all about. And I welcome it. It's going to be fun to see. As OTAs are underway, training camp is closer than you guys think. It may be May 25th, but July, right around the corner, especially nowadays. But let me know what you think down in the comments below about the competition. I'm Mac, checking on out for the day. Have a good one, everybody.